I've never claimed to really be a scientist. I wanted to be a fantasy writer and a director, and so it's kind of weird what I'm doing now with this. But these things that they're doing with sending signals to the brain and the nervous system that are specific to you. So that would be very specific. Your visual space is a very specific frequency to you. It would take them a while to clear neural pathways to learn enough about what they're seeing on remote neural monitoring to build that cognitive model of where to actually send those signals to certain parts of your brain and at what exact frequency. And I feel like that is the major Chewy center of all the money of why they're covering this up so big time, because you think about it. I mean, they can poison us all with chemtrails and slow kill with fluoride in the water and GMO foods and things like that. It is an angle of the targeting, but while they're doing that, I feel like the money and the investors and these manufacturers manufacturing these weapons, the money and the priority that it takes is because of the research and development of mind control technologies. Now, I call them mind direction technologies because I've never been mind controlled. They can't actually control my limbs. They can't do forced speech on me or anything like that. But they can do a lot of stuff. And over time, the danger is that over time, they can mess with your emotions, your thoughts, and stuff like that, because they have so many years of sitting there, and doing this stuff to us, torturing us and entraining our brains, that over time it can condition, changes in long-term thinking, and how you do things. And I think we all fight that. We all fight that because, a lot of TIs, we're all very independent and non-compliant. We have hardwiring that helps us, because I think it's very hard for them to screw with hardwiring. Things that have been hardwired into you by your genetics and how you were raised. But certain things that came afterwards, like in your adult life, I think those things are a little bit easier to manipulate. Memories that came later. These are just some of my thoughts, and they're really burning up my phone, like way more than usual this morning. But I just wanted to say my take on why there's so much money involved, and why they're not stopping, and why these third-party defense contractors get so much money sent to them. And please watch Brian Two's information. He's a targeted individual who is getting hit so badly. I mean, he's getting tortured so very badly. Please pray for him. He does have a lot of great information. He's researched a lot on Robert Duncan and gotten other information, and he does lay it down, some of the more detailed techniques that they're trying to do. And obviously we need to read Robert Duncan. I have not read his books fully. I've read a lot and listened to his interviews and read parts of his books, but I need to just read those at least two of those books. I think there's like part 1 and part 2 of Soul Catcher, Project Soul Catcher. I think there's part 1 and 2, and then How to Tame a Demon. And I definitely want to read those 3 books. And then I think he may have a new one out. But I'm gonna sit through and read those books, and maybe if I can get them before the end of the month, I'll do it for the marathon. But then I'll definitely make videos, reading some sections that really stand out to me. We need to understand, what the end goal here is, and it is control. It is control of people. They're doing a lot of stuff with this. I mean, they're torturing us. There's Zetsung. Zetsung is destroying someone's life, which is very communist. Then they're running DHS fusion centers and InfraGard so that they're allowing the populace to surveil itself. There is slow kill, because these are obviously very dangerous. They call them non-lethal weapons, but they're very, very dangerous. They cause cancer and brain damage and things like that. But in all those angles, I believe that the Chewy Center is mind direction. And I believe that's why so much money is being funneled into this, you know, and so many weapons are being manufactured, so many directed energy weapon systems are being manufactured by like Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, Northrop and Grumman, Boeing. I don't know all the manufacturers, but you know that's the reason all. Wow, they are just burning my phone. I guess they don't like what I'm talking about, but it is, and I think that they're hitting Brian too so hard because this information is important and we need to know it. And I'm not saying that we should all believe like, hey, you know, we're gonna lose all control and they can really mind control us into doing anything. I like to call it more mind direction. And I see TIs and we do fight it, but without knowing that that's what's happening. That your emotions, that some of your thought patterns that they're trying to manipulate those, your attackers are trying to manipulate those by a protocol. It does kind of set you up for being more impulsive and doing things that they would want you to do if you're like, well, I don't get any of the mind control stuff, or I don't get any of the mind direction stuff, but I get, you know, tortured and traumatized. Well, these people aren't going to sit there and torture and traumatize you without trying to send signals to parts of your brain. And now I do know this is a for sure thing. I'm kind of getting, wow, and they are just burning the phone. It is just burning in my hand. I can barely hold it. Wow. But I do know this for a fact. After a while, there's a one light SUV right there. After a while, you know, I thought that they were just, you know, maybe sending pictures that they got off of Google or something like that, and then getting the frequency to my visual cortex, and then, you know, resending them back to my brain, to my nervous system, my brain. After a while, I noticed that some of my thoughts were being manipulated. Like, I would start thinking of maybe a time in the past, like at the beach, and then something would be thrown in. The thought would be manipulated. So I do know this for a fact, that they do have like what Brian 2 calls a clone member on the team, where this person can basically, they can think a thought. It's a brain to machine to brain computer interface. So they send a thought, like a visual thought from their brain. It goes through the remote station because it has to be modulated to your frequency of your brain. So basically, and you know, I think that's a lot, you know, they do that to thoughts that I will be thinking throughout the day, but they also do that in, wow, my fingertips are burning. Like, they've never done this. I wonder if they're just doing it because of the marathon or this information. Wow, I'm gonna have to hold my camera's gonna be a little bit shaky because I have to hold the little plug-in thing. And there's a city police. Kind of got it going on for me this morning, the vehicular stalking. Well, okay, so, and I think that's a lot how, I think that is how the directed dreaming is done. So like, you say you're having a dream, you're trying to get into REM sleep, and then somebody on the clone team member, the clone, who is basically just a person who they're cloning their brainwaves to yours. They're not an actual clone like that was made in a vat or anything like that, but they're cloning their brainwaves to yours through their brain to the remote station, then a signal to your nervous system and brain. And so you'll start dreaming, and this person, you know, you'll be dreaming of, say, you're on the beach, you know, with somebody you love, and drinking champagne, and then they can start thinking into that dream. And I'm not sure all directed dreaming is done like this, but I think that a majority of it, the simplest version they do is this, and they'll throw in a thought into your visual space while you're dreaming. There's a one light. Right there. Of like maybe a huge monster, or just that person, like you killing that person, or some weird thing, you know, some weird thing that would really traumatize you. You know, and I'm very certain of this. I'm very certain of there's somebody at the remote station who can clone their brain waves to yours. And I'm not sure if they just do it to one person, if all of them can do it, like say they're on a 3-man shift and all of them have the capability of hooking up, or they just pick one person to shift. I really don't know. You know, listen, but definitely, you know, look up Brian Two's information. I'm gonna maybe try and he's done a lot of interviews. If you can look on YouTube, he did an interview with Renata a while back, and it was like a 3-hour interview on TalkShoe. You know, please listen to that, because he gives a lot of the concrete bottom line information that we need to know. We need to know what they're trying to do. Now, they're not trying to do this stuff, you know, the first year you're targeting. So if you're a new target, you know, I wouldn't worry about this stuff yet. I would try and unentrain, you know, get frequencies like Dave CD, music, you know, pleasing music, things like that, to unentrain your mind, you know, from what they're doing, because it takes a long time. They entrain in layers, so you've got to kind of peel one layer away at a time, with like Dave CD, with violet noise, white noise, pink noise, brown noise, you know, things like that, to get that frequency of entrainment off of your head and from around your ears and into your ears. Okay, well, I just kind of, I know 2 random kind of points, but please do check out Brian Two's information. He makes a lot of videos, and he's researched Robert Duncan's work intensively, and then he's built it with some other information. I don't really agree with everything that he has theorized about what is happening, but that bottom line information about like why they're doing this. They are doing it for mind direction technologies, to research and develop mind direction technologies, which these directed energy weapons are a huge part of. It's a huge part of. They use NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. So, you know, some V2K that you might not hear, it's neuro-linguistic programming, subliminal, you know, trying to make you feel bad, trying to do psychic driving. And that's a part of psychic driving that Edward Delgado did. I think it was somebody at Ewan Cameron, maybe, was doing psychic driving, where he would just put a tape on all night to these patients he had tortured to psychically drive them during their sleep, and try and do behavioral conditioning and change their personalities. So that is actually in this program. You know, these techniques of psychic driving, psychological manipulation, like that. But they are really, you know, they're putting a lot of research and development into how do we control people, and especially think about this TIs, because I know there's a lot of TIs out there who are very, very non-compliant. You do the right thing and you don't follow the crowd. How do we, you know, you got to think, these people are thinking, how do we control or direct somebody who's not just gonna do what we want? You know, so it's a huge part of this, and I just don't want to miss that this month, because it's really important information. So, you know, go check out some of Brian Two's videos. Check out that on YouTube. I think it's like, you know, I think it starts with Brian Two, former DOD, is interviewed by Renata. It's a 3-hour interview. I'll try and like it to my page, you know, right after this video, so y'all can check that out. He does have a lot of important information. And he's also a brother TI and a brother Christian to me. Please pray for him. He's trying to move away from this and get away from this, but he's not having much success. And I mean, he goes all over. You know, he goes all over. He's been to Rome and Paris, and he's going back to Ecuador, I think. He's been to Hong Kong, you know, Russia, many other places, and he can't seem to get away from the awful, you know, directed energy weapon systems, torture and entrainment. All right, guys, kind of just a little 2-part, some random things. Coming up to 30 minutes. God is behind us, and I'll definitely see you on the next one. I may make another video today, But I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.